Alright, so starting to take some things apart right now. It's up on jack stands. Gotta lift it up high enough to work under. Starting the preliminary teardown in preparation for the C4 removal and the T5 installation. Right now I'm about ready to take out the drive shaft and just a few other things along the way. I'm gonna take out like the automatic transmission cooler and disconnect some lines, and I'm just kind of fiddling around right now. Here she sits right now. Still an automatic car, C4. That's going away for a T5Z. Right now, unbolting the transmission from the engine. I got all the bolts down below loosened up. Right now I'm taking those ones out. A little hard to see in there, but I'm loosening those ones. Alright, right now into the car and disconnecting the flex plate. Got the 4 nuts out that hold it in, or I guess I should say the nuts that hold the torque converter to the flex plate. Got those disconnected. I also got some of the bell housing bolts loosened up. Those are ready to come out all the way. Alright, trans is coming out. And it's also leaking its fluid out because I was too lazy to drain the pan because I had to pull the pan off, so I figured when it leaks, it'll leak and I'll deal with it. So trans is coming out. This is my little setup. Harbor Freight floor jack, some wood, ratchet strap. It's vaguely doing its job. Has yet to fall into the ground. And the trans is basically out. The torque converter is off the flex plate, so it's just sitting there right now on the jack. Letting some fluid drip out before I put it on the ground. So while it's above a pan right now, I'll let it leak out some. Alright, the C4 is out. It is on the ground. And it made a big mess. I should have drained the transmission fluid first because it went cockeyed on the jack and the torque converter fell out and fluid went everywhere. So here it is, it's on the ground, ready to slide out from under the car. Really not a big deal. It looked more intimidating than it actually was, but it's really not super heavy or anything, and it'll just slide right out from under the car, basically with a little shimmying. I can commence cleaning and get ready for the T5. I got into some, while I was there, moments. Decided to pull the sound deadener on the carpet. I had to pull the carpet to get to the at least 3 remaining shifter bolts to take the shifter assembly out. So I never really got a full look at my floor pan, so here's one side. Not too bad. It looks rusty, but it is. But that's all surface rust. It's all pretty solid. See the factory blue right there. I'm gonna wire wheel it and probably pour 15 it or use that Eastwood rust encapsulator. Got the shifter mechanism out. Next up, gonna prepare getting the transmission out, a few other things in the car. I'm just gonna clean up a few things. Here's the T5 out on the bench. Here's a look at it before it goes in the car later on. It's a Ford Performance T5Z made by Tremec. Right now I'm changing the shifter to this Steeda Triax. Also gonna delete the speedometer hole since I have a GPS speedometer. The old C4 is out. Next up, I'm gonna do some detailing under the car. And that can go in later. A few other parts I have. Got the shifter, Hurst shifter. Also got the conversion cross member from Modern Driveline. And a few other parts and pieces. Pulling the drive shaft out of a Explorer. These were fun to get off by hand. Breaker bar, breaker bar. Just pulling out the aluminum drive shaft. Gonna see if this will fit in 66. There it is. '2000 Explorer, two-wheel drive, 4.0, aluminum shaft. So hopefully this will work out. I'll take some measurements, and yeah, we'll get it. A little cold out here, but got one anyways. Here's currently what's going on under the car. Just doing some cleanup down here. Gonna repaint the frame rails, the floor pans, the tunnel. Starting with the front right now. Removing any paint that was falling off or undercoating that was not looking too sharp. And got some of it down to bare metal. I'm going to spray it with some self-etching primer, and then I'll top coat it later on. I'm working out here in the cold, but I have no choice. So paint will take a little while to dry. I'll let it dry overnight, and I'm just going to get the bare metal into primer so it doesn't flash rust. Then I'll work my way back. Coming up to the next couple weekends or whatever. But it's coming along. It's cleaning up a little bit. It's going to look better than it was before. Probably going to paint the underside just black. I've experimented with the red oxide primer, as you can see, because that's not the original red oxide. That was a red oxide primer I put down before, and I clear coated it. But I wasn't a huge fan of the color. Plus, it showed a lot of imperfections. So I think I'm just going to do semi-gloss or satin black for the underside. Just about to paint the underside. Getting it all prepped. It's nice and clean. It's been sanded. Any minor amounts of rust have been taken off. A few rust holes were painted over with Eastwood rust encapsulator. So hopefully they won't come back or get worse at least. So just finished getting the underside all taped off. Areas where I don't want to paint, like that brake line there. And a few miscellaneous pieces like hardware and whatnot. So this is what the underside looks like before I'm going to put it in primer. It's just primer out of a can. And then I'll use semi-gloss I did with the front. Front area is already done. That came out pretty good. If I had the option, I would go with a less gloss paint, but really there's only gloss, semi-gloss, and flat to choose from. It's kind of hard to find a semi-flat or a satin. So this is just Rust-Oleum semi-gloss. So it came out pretty good. Hopefully it's durable. So I'm going to do the same with the rest of the car, rest of the underside. Pretty good shape. You can see some of the factory red oxide under some prior black paint that I've put on there. But you see the factory runs on the primer. So that's kind of cool. Also, I noticed some factory primer bubbles from when the bodies were baked, and the primer would drip and form bubbles, and a lot of the bubbles would pop. But yeah, that's what those are. That's why the factory primer has lots of bubbles on the underside. Over here on the other side, this is the driver's side of the car. You see it's pretty clean. No rust. Unless you're counting areas like that. But that doesn't really count, right? More factory runs there. It looks like a few areas where maybe the previous owner touched up a few holes with some weld, or at least some owner in its lifetime. Well, this is the last time you're going to see it as is. Next up, it's going into primer.